World Government Plan known as Agenda 21.
Start our second session this afternoon. You heard this morning about all the plans to transform your communities and rob your property and rip your whole communities apart in the name of sustainable development and smart growth. The question has been asked many times how the people who are perpetrating these things expect to do this and make it last when you have a nation of people who were raised and educated on individual rights and the Constitution and so forth. And the answer to that is that you steal a generation of children and you indoctrinate them so that they accept these ideas and they become global citizens in the coming global village. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about here this afternoon. Michael Chapman is an educational researcher and an author. He is also a member of the board of the Maple River Education Coalition and founder of the American Heritage Research. Through research and study, the Maple River Coalition is finding a direct link between the restructuring of our schools through federal programs like Goals 2000 and School to Work, and the restructuring of our communities through sustainable development. Michael Chapman and his group have discovered that today, as revealed in the national curriculum standards, education is no longer about preparing our children to maintain true liberty in a sovereign America. Instead, it is about indoctrinating our children to accept citizenship in a future global village. Today, Michael Chapman comes to us from Minnesota to reveal how the so-called standards movement masks the true agenda to a radically transformed America. Please welcome Michael Chapman.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you all for sitting in this long. It's been a long day, and you've heard some great speakers. I couldn't help but sitting back in the back of the room listening to Michael Shaw and Michael Kaufman in Minnesota. And for Michael Shaw's benefit, of course, that's the Midwest version of the left coast. But realistically, Minnesota was the very first state in the nation, in fact, the only state in the nation to sign the Declaration of World Citizenship back in 1971. Now, this was the same year that the EPA was instituted. Propaganda meant to transform this nation. Lincoln once said, the philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will become the philosophy of government in the next. We are reaping the consequences of having turned a generation of children over to this new system. It's not too surprising then that UNESCO, in their September 2003 conference on education for a sustainable future, came out and declared 2005 to 2015, the decade of education for sustainable development. You will be hearing this term everywhere you go from now on for the next 10 years. Education for sustainable development. And surprise, surprise, they named UNESCO the lead agency for that effort, who said their goal is to integrate sustainable development into all levels of education in order to promote education as a key agent for change. Now, what does that mean? If you go to the UNESCO's website on education for sustainable development, you will find out the new role of education. They state, Chapter 36 of Agenda 21 embraces all ways in which people learn about the world around them, develop the values and lifestyles, and assume their responsibilities as global citizens to prepare for the future. Now that's why I title my talk, Development, i.e. Global Citizenship, is to be realized. Now this is a bureaucratic revolution in education. The prime bureaucracy is the U.S. Department of Education, which was instituted in 1979 by President Jimmy Carter as a promise to put the principles of sustainable development in place before the term was coined. But this was the entire purpose of the U.S. Department of Education, now I believe the world's largest employer. Under its direction is the Office of Educational Research and Improvement. They oversee the 10 regional education laboratories. You can go to their website and see these are the 10 regions of the U.S., and each region has a director and a directorate to be responsible for each piece. Now, it was the Mid-Continental Regional Education Laboratory, which recently changed their name, that was in charge of putting together the national curriculum. They called it the standards-based movement, by looking at the curriculum. But first I want to play a little video clip of the senior director of the Mid-Continental Regional Education Laboratory in 1989 as she revealed to the National Governors Association the agenda for education. She's going to list 3 important aspects of what education is about. Listen to for the 3.
It seems to me that far too much of our efforts have been focused on the issue of let's find a short-term fix and fix up these schools and taking care of them, rather than the issue of understanding that what we're into is a total restructuring of the society. What is happening in America today and what is happening in Kansas and the Great Plains is not simply a chance situation in the usual winds of change. What it amounts to is a total transformation of our society. And the issue for most children and the issues for the society is that what has changed in education today is that we no longer see the teaching of facts and information as the primary outcome of education. During the past 10 years, we've been going through a reform movement. And that reform movement began with the governors of the nation, and basically what their concern was that they began to understand the very close relationship between economic development and human capital.
Did you catch the 3 parts? Number 1, the total transformation of society. Number 2, facts and information, knowledge, is no longer the primary purpose of education. And number 3, the close connection between economic, let's call it sustainable development, and human capital, that is labor, human resource labor for a planned economy. Now,